r/Nosleep. Posted by Reddit user ItsMeRoyale. Do not go into the rain past 12, or you will run into the Raincoat Man. My grandmother always used to warn me, don't go out into the rain past 12, little one, or you'll run into the Raincoat Man. She would always follow up with a story. The same story I practically had memorized and was astounded by every time she articulated it. Even to this day, I've never forgotten what she told me. When I was a teenager, I wasn't very good at following rules. I had to be home by a certain time, and I was not allowed to stay out after 10 p.m. Along with my parents' momentous warnings, there was always a reminder of the Raincoat Man, a reminder passed down throughout the decades. Daughter, do you know why I tell you this? You know about the consequences. The Raincoat Man was a manifestation of our hometown's legend. One of the many legends, actually. But those are tales for another day. The Raincoat Man was first. After I left that horrible forsaken town long ago, I was fine for a while. Legends do not die, though. They tend to run throughout generations as well. In this case, ours too. Anyways, my hometown had limited work opportunities, and every member of the family did their best to support each other. My older brother Jacob was my role model, and my parents were very proud of him. Listen to Mom and Dad, he spoke while we played an old board game together one night. They know about this crazy stuff more than we do, and be on your guard. Regardless, I still did not fully listen, nor fully understand. After all, it was only a legend. The problem occurred when my clique at school was invited to a night party. Come on, Johnny begged at lunch. You never come to any parties. Hell, you'll be indoors. I don't know, I contemplated. You know my parents, nothing past midnight. That's only a rule, Kiana added. Trust me, it'll be fun. Please, for us. They somehow successfully coaxed me into doing it. I planned ahead and snuck out skillfully the following weekend, just after 10:30 p.m. The party was hosted at another student's house, within walking distance of my home. I eagerly scurried through the almost silent street, anxious and nervous that I was actually doing this, until I arrived. The following 2 hours were ecstatic, and I barely noticed the time fly by. Afterwards, I said my goodbyes and departed from the residence. The time was around 12:30 as I walked back through the barren streets. Not a soul in sight. The wind had picked up, and the dark looming clouds began to let out rain. It slowly descended, harder, decreasing my visibility. Should have brought an umbrella, I thought, as I shivered and increased my pace. I needed to get back home before anyone realized I had left. A few blocks left to go. I turned a corner onto an empty street. I abruptly had the feeling that I was being watched, and a sudden paranoia emerged. I glanced around in all directions as I made my way down the sidewalk, and saw no one. Minutes later, I reached the end of the block, 3 more streets left, and looked back one more time, just to make sure. That's when I saw it, or rather, him. A man stood countless yards behind me on the opposite end of the street. I could vaguely see his stature, but he looked to be wearing a dark raincoat. His face was a constant blur, and the rain seemed to form a wall around where he stood. I felt my adrenaline spike and my heart skip a beat as a wave of fear washed over my cold body. My head began to hurt. This couldn't be happening. Drenched and trembling, I started sprinting for my life. I screamed, but my cries were drowned out by the roar of the storm and the sudden cascade of rain and thunder. I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. However, a sudden updraft pushed me off my feet, and I landed hard on my side. I peeked over my shoulder and saw the man swiftly approaching, mere feet away as he inched towards me. The hood of the raincoat made his face a black shadow, save for two glowing eyes that peered into my soul. I could feel the air change as he lifted his claw-like hands. The wall of rain encompassed me and lifted me up into the air, so that I floated face to face with him. I struggled, tears escaping my shocked eyes. The rain wall tightened every time I moved, pressing down on my chest and blocking my airway. I gasped for any sign of air. It felt like metal chains were wrapped around my throat, and sharp needles were being pressed into every part of my body. I thought this was it. I was going to die. Until I heard the loud rumble of a motorcycle echo through the rain. In the span of a second, the motorcycle collided head-on with the Raincoat Man, throwing everyone in the air. I landed hard on the ground again, and this time, a flood of throbbing pain burst through my body. I spotted the motorcyclist lying a few feet away, while the Raincoat Man was still recovering from the unexpected blow. "Jacob? Jacob!" He fought to get up, breathing heavily, and turned towards me. "Run! Get out of here! Jacob, I won't leave. You should have listened. Now run, or you'll die." He hastily motioned for me to leave, and sighed with his saddened expression. "Take care of Mom and Dad for me." I had tears streaming down my face as I shook my head. I can't. "Go!" I bolted for the end of the street, fighting through the never-ending storm. I quickly turned my head back as I ran. The Raincoat Man was on his feet now. Jacob did not hesitate. He charged towards the man, yelling as he did so. I don't know if Jacob stood a chance, but I did not want to see how it would end. I ran and ran until my lungs screamed in agony, and my feet felt like they were on fire. I cried all the way home, unable to bear what had just transpired. I later found out that I had fractures on my legs and arms, one broken rib, and several deep bloody cuts on my back. In the following days, Jacob's body was never found, even after several investigations were conducted. All that remained was a looming sense of guilt and depression. I drew further away from my family and friends, sometimes to the point of complete isolation. After months of coping with his absence, I left town forever. Legends do not die, though. Neither did my guilt. I still believe, little one, that the Raincoat Man is still out there, waiting, lurking behind his own facade. Let my mistake be an example to you and your generation. Heed it. I still recall the first time she told me this. My eyes were wide, the words rang in my ears, and I saw her brush away the water drops that had formed between her eyelashes. Following a slight pause, she gestured towards the kitchen. "I've got some snacks for you. I'll be right back." I gazed as she slowly rose up out of her seat and made her way out of the living room. In that moment, I wandered over to the picture frame above the fireplace. I respectfully stared at the smiling portrait of Great Uncle Jacob. I returned the smile and softly whispered, "Thank you for saving Grandma's life, Uncle Jacob." Grandmother's voice sounded from the kitchen. "Little one, could you help me grab these plates from the cupboard?" "Coming, Grandma." As I walked away from the portrait, I could have sworn I heard a "You're welcome, little one," from behind me.